I want to get into a little bit of fighting talk. So we've been talking a lot this week, obviously, about UFC 264. Dustin Poirier beating Conor McGregor in their trilogy fight. Conor's leg snapping at the end of round one. Disgusting. But Dyah Davis, he is one of Dustin Poirier's trainer, his boxing trainer. He runs Boca Boxing District, a fantastic boxing gym, not surprisingly, in Boca Raton there, Leroy. And Dyah joined us on the program here, getting talking a little a fight with him. So appreciate him coming on the program and getting into a little UFC with us. Dyah, what's going on, man?
Hey, top of the morning, fellas. How we doing?
What's happening?
We're doing good, man. Doing good. Good trip for Vegas for you guys, I imagine. I imagine the celebrations were fun. I imagine that it was an enjoyable last 48 hours after you guys get the victory. How much did you guys get to bask in the win?
We did. I mean, we had an after party afterwards. In turn, missing my flight the next morning and not getting home from Vegas until yesterday afternoon.
Oh, if you miss your flight, it's gonna be hard getting back home.
Oh man,
it never fails.
I'm in the doghouse a little bit with my wife, but
oh man. What was that? Was there I mean, it was star-studded back there. Like, was there a celebrity you were most like, whoa, I can't believe this person's here to watch that fight?
Man, it was just so many people there. Got opportunity to meet David Spade. This guy's got a really big hit right now. I think his name's Steve Aoki.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's a DJ. They always in Vegas.
Right. Just a star-studded event.
Do you ever when you're doing the ring walks, like out and it's a big fight like that, do you ever get distracted by that type of stuff in the moment where you're like, oh my God, that person's here?
No, I mean, at that point, I'm like a horse with blinders on. I'm only worried about, making sure I got the correct information set and ready to go with my fighter.
Hey, next time, go with Steve Aoki first, not Joe Dirt.
So
let's get down to business, right?
Yeah. So I have a question because I've always been curious about this because in sports, so in team sports, you could rattle your guy across from you,
right?
But the ball might not come his way, okay. Right? So it might take a while to get to him. And the coach will say, don't worry about that, man. Just play your game. When you're going against a guy like Conor, who is going to constantly try to get you to not fight your fight,
right?
To get upset and mad. Does it help having a guy like Dustin Poirier who's kind of laid back? He's not really that guy to where none of that stuff bothers him. Or do you have to just say, hey, keep him on task, keep him on point, and say, don't let that stuff get to you. He's trying to get to you. He's trying to make you make mistakes.
Absolutely. We had a pre-fight talk before actually coming out in the dressing room. I said, look, he's a different fighter now. Like if you remember the first fight in 2014, he allowed Conor to get in his head a little bit and allowed him to rattle him mentally. But that was 7 years ago. So, here we are, 2021, different fighter, evolved totally mentally, physically, just fighter IQ. He's just a different guy now. But again, just as a reminder to let him know, like this year, in January of this year, you defeated him. Obviously, there was no crowd there. Just before coming out, I said, look, we're doing this now in front of a live audience. Don't let anyone get in your head. Don't let anyone shout anything out that may rattle you. Just keep this like you're in the gym, another day in the office. You're showing up to the gym, you got your gym bag, you walk in, you take care of business, and we get out of there. Just a sparring session, just a glorified sparring session. And he understood.
How do you look at a dive as a coach prepping for a guy 3 times? Like, you've gotten a chance to get ready for this guy on different occasions, like especially these two where they're so close together. Are you thinking about, when you're prepping for Dustin for this fight, are you thinking about what new stuff can he bring? Are you looking back at the old fight and thinking, he's going to be the same guy again? A lot of people made he was, in a pure boxing stance the last time. Did you think he wasn't going to come out the same style this way? Like, what different leading into this trilogy did you guys think was going to probably come forth with Conor McGregor? And what actually did you see from him in this third fight?
So I thought, being that we were so beneficial with the leg kicks, I thought that Conor would try to apply that to us. Yes, there was a lot of talk about his boxing stance, and I figured he would try to be on the bounce a little bit, more so like a karate stance. And his movement has been key for him in other fights and successful for him in other fights. So I thought that he would come out that way in the first round, but I also knew that that wouldn't play to his benefit because Conor's a front runner. So if he can't get it done within the first 5 to 10 minutes, then, the odds favor you much better going into the later part of the fight.
How does that work with prepping, man? Because you're always you're focused on the hands, but like, how do you differ from teaching boxing when you have to put in the elements of kicking? Like, it's become such a big part of the sport, and guys are doing it so much now. Is just either keeping somebody at range or something like that. Like, how do you go about teaching your fighters for mixed martial arts, adding the element of boxing with having to keep the kicks, keep them accountable for the kicks?
Well, as a coach, it's my job to study our opponents, and I do my best to ensue and apply what it is that I think we may be looking at come fight night. So although I'm not a kickboxing coach, I may have to learn a couple kicks. Have my guy throw a combination, and then maybe not so heavy on that front foot when he's done with his punching, and maybe throw a kick just so he knows that he needs to get that leg out of the way when he's done. Like when he was getting ready for Khabib, although I'm not a wrestling guy,
Right.
he finished with a combination, and I'm trying to finish with a takedown. So I'm just shooting. I'm showing him something that he may possibly see come fight night.
So you're adding those elements, like in the prep, like you're seeing like what this guy's, how they look, and then like you're throwing it in the midst of like him doing combinations with you.
Right, that's correct.
Does that help when a guy's well-rounded in all the different aspects of MMA, so that you don't necessarily have to, get on the mat with him and break it down for him? He can more have a conversation with you, and then you guys work out some kind of combination, and you say, I go here, and like you kind of just work it out, whereas you don't have to give him the actual technique because he is privy to all the different techniques of MMA.
Yeah, that's correct. So, he's got 3 different coaches, like myself, his boxing coach, Mike Brown, his MMA/wrestling coach, and then you got Thiago Pitbull Alves, who is his kickboxing coach.
Right.
So we're all, all the minds come together and we figure out what it is that's necessary to go out and come out victorious. And then we all try to apply our own, technique, our own spin on the fight to where, as we see, we'll benefit from it,
We're talking to Dyah Davis. He's fresh off of Vegas after Dustin Poirier victorious over Conor McGregor in their trilogy fight. Okay, man. So what was your reaction as you're watching this thing unfold in the first round? It was a wild first round. There's so much stuff that went on between, him coming out with the kicks, Dustin starting to get his hands on him. Then he jumps for a guillotine on Dustin, which seems like just a terrible idea in the midst of it. And then Dustin's smacking him up. He's grabbing the gloves. Like, how did you take all of that in? Because it felt like, although it was only a 1-round fight, so much stuff was going on.
So although it was only a 1-round fight, the fact that Conor jumped for the guillotine is not usual by any standards, by the means. Conor winning by submission, I was like, come on, you got to be kidding me. But the fact that I knew that Dustin wasn't in trouble, I knew that by Conor trying to insinuate this guillotine just means he's even more fatigued. It's only going to put a little bit more strain on the arms, which is going to work into our benefit. So, had the fight going into the second and third round, I knew we were in a good standing for sure.
And did you know immediately what happened to his leg? Because I think it was on the upper side of your guys' corner, right? Like Dustin's walking back to you guys after it happens. Did you think like immediately the fight's over, or did it take a second for it all to kind of register?
No. So the last 10 seconds, the corner is primarily getting ready to get into the cage. So here I am grabbing the bucket, the water bottle, making sure the stool's out of my way so I'm not tripping up the stairs. I've been going up the stairs to enter the cage. The bell rings. I get to the corner, and Dustin says, I think his ankle broke. So I looked over, and then Herb is obviously over there checking out Conor, He comes back and he waves the fight off. I'm like, what the hell just happened? So I didn't even realize what happened. Obviously the last 10 seconds of the fight, he finished on top with some ground and pound. So, I knew, like I said, I thought we were in good standing going into the second round. But I still, at that point, had not realized what had happened.
It was a while, because I remember when I was watching it live, we all thought, I think a lot of people thought this before you saw the replay. I thought that they like almost had like a Rocky 2 moment where they both hit each other and then Conor just stepped back and it broke. But I guess in the replays it showed it looked like it broke on Dustin's arm. He kicked him and Dustin blocked it, and that's where it. I mean, it was horribly gross. Like I was there for Weidman a couple of months ago in Jacksonville. It's just disgusting seeing somebody's leg break like that, man.
But terrible.
He gets to hold on to that what if factor, I guess. But like as you said, like he's always been a first round fighter, and Dustin. I mean, you've seen the wars that he's been in. It seems like round 5 with the chaos. Like there's nobody better in the sport when it comes to that. So I don't think there's any doubt in our mind of what probably would have gone on if he would have stayed healthy with all of that. But did it, in the aftermath with you guys, were you able to just enjoy it and see it as a victory? You're like, we know how this is going to go now. He's going to be spouting off about what if this, what if that, all that because of an injury.
Listen, with all the talk that he did afterwards, I mean, he's a great salesman. If there will be a fourth fight, there's already a build-up because of it. The guy's sitting there with his ankle in his back pocket, and he's yelling at Dustin, I'm going to kill you, and you're going to get it in your sleep. I mean, dude, relax.
I always wonder at what point is it too much? Because, like, it's okay if you're on top. It's okay to talk all that trash when you're on top. But as you start losing, right, those words mean less and less. And are we to the point where, Conor's just running his mouth, he don't have nothing to back it up? I don't know that for sure, but we already see him after all the years of watching Conor. Everybody in the world knows if you get past round 2, you're probably going to win.
Right. Yeah, I mean, was it too much? Definitely. But again, if there happens to be a fourth fight between these two guys, then, God bless, because, the sale is already there for it. I think a lot of Conors fans are delusional. They want to hold on to the idea of the 2014, 2015 Conor. It's a double
time ago.
I mean, we've got evolvement. Some guys seem to get better. Some guys seem to stay stagnant. And unfortunately, he's been very inactive. With inactivity comes rust. Dustin's been probably the most active lightweight in the division. And if you look at the opposition that he's faced, all top tier guys, there haven't really been any breaks, with the exception of, he had a little surgery on his hip and right after the Khabib fight. But I mean, since then, he's been active and he's been on a tear.
Does that play a big role, the inactivity? Because
I think so.
It seems like when you think Conor had a year plus off, and I'm not even counting the Mayweather thing,
right?
But he had a long period of time off. Was it after Khabib? He had a
there was a layoff.
After the fight, there was a layoff,
and everybody else in the division is fighting,
right?
And you sitting back for whatever reason. Now you got to go back into the ring. Now everybody's gotten better.
Right.
And you haven't even, competed against any of the guys in your division. I mean, how much of a factor does that play in it all? Because, if he is rusty and he goes into that ring after, fighting all these, money fights,
right,
and not fighting any real competition, and you go in there with a real one, how does that affect, how he's able to perform?
So inactivity could play into your favor, but you also have to be doing the right things. You have to be professionally responsible. So what I mean by that is if you're inactive, you should definitely be in the gym, honing your craft, getting better. And I think, Conor's got so much money. What's the motivation for you to do that?
Right.
For Dustin's standpoint, I mean, like, he's active, but he's also getting better. You know, he's not active and, you know, taking damage and, you know, if you're in there taking damage, then obviously you're taking years off your fighting life.
Right.
But he hasn't been. That hasn't been the case. You know, he's out here winning. He's winning in impressive fashion, and he's getting the job done. And each time, like I said, he's getting better.
He's now finally going to get that chance again at the Undisputed Championship. How do you feel about this matchup against Charles Oliveira?
You know what? I haven't had time to dive into that matchup just yet. I've only been keeping my eyes on Oliveira as of his last two fights. So the Ferguson fight, and then obviously the Chandler fight where he won the title. But I like our chances, man. You know, I obviously know he's a ground guy. His stand-up, his striking has gotten a bit better, but I don't feel it's, you know, at the level to our striking. But I think it's a good matchup. It's a matchup that needs to happen for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, man. Before we get you out of here, we're talking to Dyah Davis, who's Dustin Poirier's boxing coach, who runs the Boca Boxing District. Fantastic gym in Boca Raton. One fight that was officially announced this week. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence. It's going to go down in August. What do you think about Manny at his age coming back and fighting a guy at the top of the mountain like Errol Spence? And do you think that Manny has a shot in this one?
I think Manny has a shot. You know, you can never count a guy like that out. 8-time world champion, legend. You know, you can never count a guy like that out.
He's so active, man. I never seen the guy punch that much as long as I've been boxing, man. He doesn't stop.
I know. And another guy who doesn't lose power late. But honestly, I have to favor the younger guy, man. I think Errol is hungrier. Like I said, he's hungrier. He wants it more. And, you know, if you're going to, you know, cement your name in the sport, then why not do it off the back of the legend like Manny Pacquiao?
Well, I appreciate you giving us some time this morning,
Thanks,
Dyah. Anything you want to say as far as how people can find you at Boca Boxing District?
On Instagram, you can find me Boca Boxing District. You can find me personally, my Instagram, Dyah_Ali. And that's it, man.
Well, listen, man, thanks for giving us some time. We appreciate it, dude.
Appreciate
it. Congratulations. That's awesome. It's an awesome weekend for you guys. I'm glad you had so much fun. You missed your flight. And we hopefully you're not in too much trouble with the wife.
Hey, man,
but you guys deserve it. Listen, man, that's a big weekend for you guys.
I know. It's all good. I smoothed it out.
All right,
man. Have a great rest of your week.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
All right.